Hey there, it's not going to be long before everybody's thinking about fall with cool fronts coming through and football games, but right now we're in those warm Indian summer months and the fishing is still very good all across the region. On this week's show, going to be passing along some information on a fish that's fun to catch and you can catch a bunch of them. Come on along, Fox Sports Outdoors is on the air right now.
You're watching the only program with weekly fishing reports and real-time outdoor news from the Southwest region. This is Fox Sports Outdoors.
Hi everybody, if you've watched our show for very long, you know I'm a big fan of taking families fishing. Get the kids out, get grandma and grandpa out, and let everybody have a lot of fun. On this week's show, we're going to take you out and show you a little information about a fish that's very prolific and very easy to catch all across the southern tier of the United States, especially while we're still in these warm weather months. It's a white bass, otherwise known as a sand bass in the western parts of our region. They are literally in every river and lake and reservoir by the hundreds of thousands, and they're just snapping, ready to get on the end of your line. I'm going to show you a few of my little secrets to help you find and catch a bunch of white bass for the next few weekends when you go fishing. Now, to help us do that, come to one of my favorite white bass lakes. This is a lake that's situated in northeast Texas. It's known as Chapman Lake, otherwise known around here as Cooper Lake. Now, for all the years that this lake has been in existence, it has been loaded with white bass. I don't know why, but they just do well here. So we're gonna head out and use this lake as our test tube today to demonstrate for you some of these techniques to find and catch white bass of your very own near where you live. And while we're doing that, we're taking you around your local region for this week's fishing reports, both saltwater and freshwater from lakes, rivers, and bays right where you live. Right now, our Nitro Z20 gets down this boat ramp into Cooper Lake in Texas. Next time you see me, I'll be out there. Let's get it started back at the studios with our weekend planner.
The Solunar tables are indicating fair game fish conditions for the long holiday weekend. In general, the peak times should take place around the dawn and dusk hours over the 3 days, but be sure to check the day you'll be on the water for specific times. The sun will rise at 7:03 and set at 7:50. And Sunday will feature a last quarter moon that is 50% visible. Hang with us for freshwater and coastal information from around the region. Plus, I'll return with 2016 Bassmaster Angler of the Year, Gerald Swindle, for this week's Ask the Pro segment.
I think one of the coolest things about white bass fishing is that it's a numbers game. You're not looking for 4, 5, 6 fish. You're looking for a whole bunch of fish. Why? Well, these fish don't grow large. A legitimate 1.5-pound white bass is a really nice one. So we're going to be looking for schools of fish where we can catch a bunch of them at one time and everybody can have a lot of fun. In order to do that, you need 3 things. You need a boat, you need good electronic equipment or a good fish finder like my Lowrance Elite TI setup here, and you need a good chart so that you can see the bottom contour of the lake. If you have those 3 things, you're set up to find schools of white bass where you live. Let's head out and see what we can find.
Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Motor Guide's new wireless and easy-to-use XI3. XI batteries powering the world forward. Waypoint Marine, the Gulf Coast's leading saltwater boating specialist. And Strike King, designed by the pros, fished by you.
Good pull. Ooh, harder pull. There we go. There's a good one. Here's one. There we go. Hey everybody, welcome back. We've made it out and I found a likely looking spot, and I'll explain to you what a likely looking spot is in a little bit. But there's a white right there. I caught one. So let me explain to you what I typically do when I find a spot where I think there might be fish. I have a little system where I'll anchor myself. I've got my XI5 Motor Guide trolling motor anchored right here in position, right on top of this little shallow hump. And I'll start off by making casts, long casts, 360 degrees around the boat. So what I'm gonna do is scout Try to pinpoint where the fish are located on this spot. There's another one, he bit it. There we go. And then try to home in on the fish and pinpoint where they are, move my trolling motor around, lock myself down on them. And I want to show you what the bait that these fish are feeding on looks like. They're clouds. They're just clouds of shad, all ganged up. And I'm finding them there on my Lowrance Elite TI. There's another one. When you find that bait like that, then the chances are there's going to be some fish somewhere close by.
Hey friends, Captain Kevin Broussard here with your Fox Sports Louisiana Outdoor Report. I tell you what, we're going to start off this week talking about saltwater fishing on the Gulf Coast. Tell you what, we're in a late summertime pattern. Redfish, real shallow on gold spoons up in the marsh. I tell you what, also if you can find some deep holes and some bends, lots of redfish showing up there. Crack crab and live shrimp seems to be the best there. I tell you what, Bill Lake said they're tearing them up down in Houma. Right here on Calcasieu, we're doing the same. Trout action, it's a little slow on the full moon and with a southwest wind we've been having, but I tell you what, live shrimp under a popping cork, early and late seems to be the best key there. Tell you, freshwater action. Toledo Bend, white perch, doing great right now in 20 to 30 foot of water over your brush piles. I'll tell you what, live shiners and Rockport Rattler jigs with some little tubes on it seems to be doing the best there. Bass action, early, late, and at night. Soft plastics, real deep, or a spinnerbait up shallow seems to be the best there. For Old Cajun Phil, Captain Kevin Broussard saying happy fishing, may God bless, and we're going to see you next week.
Flutter it up. Got it. There we go. Good pull. Ooh, that's a harder pull. There we go. There's a good one. There's a fat one there. That's the first one I've caught that's actually been fat. A lot of these have been skinny fish. There's a fairly healthy looking one right there. I want to show you my flutter technique. When you're fishing for these white bass in the hot weather months or even the warmer weather months of fall, you want to use a heavy bait in contact with the bottom. They'll school on top early in the mornings, late in the evening, sometimes on shad, busting the top, thrashing around. The rest of the time, they're going to lay down within a couple of feet of the bottom. You can see them on your graph. So what you want is a heavy bait, at least a ½ ounce up to an ounce. And you want a bait that'll sink down quickly, stay in touch with the bottom, and then I fish my rod tip real high like this, 11, 12 o'clock position, letting that bait bump the bottom a lot, but then dropping it back and then lifting it up, letting it flutter. And a lot of times it's that hold position at the top that'll trigger that fish into biting. You hold it up off the bottom, flutter it right there in front of his face where they're laying, hold it at the top. Let it go back down. Got it, got it. There we go. That worked. Pull that tail spinner up and then let it fall back, hit the bottom, pull it up again, hold it at the top. Let it go back down. Got it, got it. There we go. That worked. Ooh, that white bass came up on top. There we go. That's a decent one right there. We used to catch them on a little bait that looked kind of like that called a Little George when I was a kid. We used to just catch a ton of them on a tail spinner like that. Hey, let me mention one quick thing about depth. How deep a water do you want to be fishing in the warm weather months when you're catching these white bass or when you're looking for them? Well, it can really vary. They can be as shallow as like 5 to 8 feet. I'm in 7.5 feet of water right now, and I'm throwing out here probably in 8 to 10, something like that. They can be fairly deep though. They can be out there in 20, 25, even 30 feet of water when it gets really hot. So it's really more about where you find the structure and where you find the bait. Depth is not all that relevant. Now we've got water temperatures in the low 80s right now where I am. So that's pretty hot water. And these fish are pretty active. They can tolerate a lot of really hot water. And early and late, as I mentioned, you'll find them up schooling on top of these humps and ridges. They'll push those shad up shallow on the very tops. But then as the sun gets up, they're just going to move back down closer to the bottom. stay in contact with the bottom, and really anywhere from, I would say, 10 to 25 feet of water will be your prime depth to look for these white bass in the warm weather months.
Man, what a crazy August this has been here in the state of Oklahoma. More rain than usual for the month, temperatures cooler than what they typically are for the month, and as a result, lake surface temperatures are 5 to 8 degrees cooler now than they were just 2 weeks ago. Now we're still got more summertime coming, but as a result, the fish are really active right now. The temperature for getting out and pursuing them is comfortable too, so you need to get out and go fishing. If you're fishing a body of water that the lake level has been coming up on, go to the shoreline, fish the flooded vegetation areas with a buzz bait or a soft plastic jerk bait. You can catch a lot of bass doing that right now, all sizes. Now, if you're fishing a body of water that is stable or falling slightly, you can go to the brush piles, you can go to the humps, you can go to the points, concentrate about 15 to 20 feet deep. That's exactly what Bob and Jack Haddon from Catoosa were doing to catch some nice crappie on Skytook just in the last few days. They were concentrating on brush piles, 20 foot of water, had their best success on a Bobby Garland baby shad in monkey milk and threadfin shad colors. Now, if you're fishing something like the navigation channel behind me here, go to the shoreline, fish the laydowns, use a soft plastic on that, use a spinner bait, you can catch them. Great fishing in Oklahoma right now in August. You can catch them, but you can't catch them if you don't go.
He bit it. Got it, got it, got it. There we go. There's a good pull, because I've got him hooked partially in the side. Now I got him hooked right. Oh, we are just catching. I've probably caught 100 so far today. We haven't really talked much about the types of areas you look for. You want things that come up off the bottom, underwater ridges, underwater humps, underwater islands, rock piles, any kind of structure that's out in relatively deep water, 25, 30 feet deep, but then comes up ideally to 10 feet on top or so. But you want underwater features that come off the bottom. So I'll show you what a couple of those look like on my chart. You want to find those areas that feature up off the bottom, and those are the areas that typically the fish will feed on. But that's the key right there, and that's what you're looking for.
Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Nitro Performance Fishing Boats. Champions aren't born, they're made. Mercury Outboards, go boldly. Gulf Shores and Orange Beach, Alabama. Plan your fishing vacation and catch the details at orangebeach.com/fishing. And Lowrance and the new Hook 2, the world's easiest fish finder.
What a giant school. White bass, there's one right there. Don't you swim behind that motor. That's a good one. What a giant school. White bass, there's one right there. Don't you swim behind that motor. That's a good one. There we go. I mentioned at the beginning of the episode that white bass fishing is one of the few kinds of fishing that's about the catching and not the fishing. You actually get to catch a bunch of them. Now, what I've actually done is I've spent some time today idling around looking on my electronics. I told you how important that stuff was, and I have actually found a giant school of white bass. Now, once you find them, you can get that trolling motor locked in over the top of the fish, and you can just go to catching them one right after the next. And I don't know how many in a row I could probably catch right now, but it would be a bunch. So what we're going to do here is do a little trick of the video trade. We're going to roll some of this in fast motion, but that's 2 on 2 drops, and I'm just going to see how many of these drops in a row that I could catch a fish on right now, because we are locked in over a huge bunch of white bass. There's 3 in a row. You could catch 100 of these things in real short order, but the key is getting yourself locked in right over the top of the fish. When you can see them on your graph, like I can see them right here, and they're just literally almost blacking the screen out, you don't even have to cast. You can just literally drop it right over the side of the boat. Finally found the good school I was looking for of good ones. So you talk about a lot of fun to bring a kid in here and do this, or even bring an elderly person, and you can feel them, the fish literally fighting over it on its way down. There's a good one. That's a big one right there. Man, oh, he got off. Doggone it. I'm just going to drop it right back down over that corner of the boat. Didn't even make it to the bottom. There's another one. I'm using a jigging spoon and a slab right now. Oh, big one, big one, big one, big one, big one. There we go. Golly. Come out. Where are you? Well, as you can see, I don't know how many fish in a row that was, but I guarantee you I could sit here and catch 100 of them in a row. And you can actually work the fish into a feeding frenzy like this. They begin to prey and feed on each other's energy, and you can just get everything all stirred up and get these fish feeding, and it is an absolute blast.
Hi folks, this week's Lone Star Lakes is brought to you by the good folks at Breckland Ranch. Family owned, family operated, Breckland invites your family to come out to hunt exotics or whitetails in the beautiful South Texas area. Now this week we're going to talk first about the drought that has hit Texas. After a 5-year drought, we got relief for a couple of years, but now especially West Texas is starting to see the effects again. Many lakes are very, very low, including OH-Ivy. The Concho ramp at last report was still open, but only to small craft. We're talking your smaller aluminum boats. You'll have to use the Elm ramp for anything bigger, but you can still catch fish at OH-Ivy. Fish for crappie off the timbered points, looking for brush, drop your minnows and jigs down and you can catch plenty of OH-Ivy crappie. Now up at Allen Henry, bass are still active. They're in the mouths of the creeks and working the secondary rocky points. You want to start your morning with top waters, spinner baits, Senkos, that type of thing, but you'll quickly be transitioning to your deep diving crankbaits. You want to find one that'll reach down about 15 feet and contact those rocks. Bouncing off those rocks is very important to catch those Allen Henry bass. That's this week's Lone Star Lakes, brought to you by Breckland Ranch.
Hi, this is Captain Joey Ferry with your South Texas Regional Report, brought to you by Marker 37, your full-service marina here on the Coastal Bend, your gateway to Laguna Madre and Baffin Bay. We've got gas, bait, ice, and some of the best fishing advice on the planet. This week, folks, the name of the game is when it's flat, we're offshore. Hitting the nearshore reefs and wrecks and all that stuff for nearshore snapper inside 8 miles. And then outside of 8 miles, we've got mahi-mahi on the weed lines, and on the deep water structure, big amberjack. Folks, in the bays and on the beaches, it is prime time. We've got unbelievable fishing at all the jetties and beaches for kingfish, Spanish mackerel on lures. But in the first and second gut, trout action is superb. You're using live shrimp and popping corks, silver spoons, and even some live croaker. In the bays, man, the redfish action is heating up. Everywhere that's less than knee deep, we're sight casting reds and black drum. The black drum will eat peeled shrimp lightly presented in front of their face. And our 1/2 ounce DOA shrimp is our best bet for those sight casting those big reds in shallow water. Folks, come on down and enjoy the solitude of after school starts fishing here in South Texas, and follow all of our hookups on Facebook at Captain Joey Farrow's Backwater Fishing.
You can always watch our latest episode on the front page of our website at foxsportsoutdoors.com. Catch up on past episodes by clicking the archive button and learn about fishing techniques and new gear at our how-to page. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter for new fishing videos every day. Simply search for Fox Sports Outdoors and click the like button on Facebook and follow button on Twitter. And watch a new episode every week on any device by downloading the free Waypoint TV app on your phone, tablet, computer, or smart TV. Fox Sports Outdoors is brought to you by Lew's. Feel the difference. Gene LaRue and Bobby Garland. We know bass and crappie from heads to tails. And by Glacier Glove. Stay outdoors longer with our gloves, hats, and shades.
Welcome back, everyone. Let's get right to your Ask the Pro question for this week. Tim wants to know, how can you tell when to get off the water before a storm? For the answer, we asked 2-time Bassmaster Angler of the Year, Gerald Swindle.
I go back to the thing that's lost most in the world today is common sense. You know, I think I look at that and realize, yeah, there could be a potential bad storm. Is it worth the risk of standing out here and fishing? Sometimes looking at the phone app and all that can be deceiving. You'll think, well, I've got another hour, I've got another 30 minutes. If you see it clouding up and you see a wall cloud and it's that time of year where storms bounce up and can get dangerous, come off the water. Come off the water, you can fish again tomorrow. If that last 30 minutes ain't worth the rest of your life.
Thanks, Gerald. If you want some help from one of the pros, simply go to foxsportsoutdoors.com and follow the Ask the Pro link to submit a question. Now it's time to find out who wins this week's Big Catch of the Week.
Hey everybody, back at the boat ramp, and here is this week's winner in the Big Catch of the Week contest. He is Dennis Sheridan of Collinsville, Oklahoma, showing 2 7-pound largemouth bass he caught at Dripping Springs Lake in Oklahoma. If you'd like to be our next winner and have your big fish photo shown on television, go to our website at foxsportsoutdoors.com. Click on the Big Catch of the Week area on the right side of the homepage and follow the instructions to send in your big fish photo. I promised to show you all of the baits that I typically use to catch white bass across the southern U.S., and here is my go-to list. It starts on the far left with a 1/2 ounce chrome jigging spoon. Then just right of that on the top is a tail spinner. That one's kind of chewed up a little bit because of all those fish. Then below that is a 1/4 ounce lead jig head with a Jean LaRue Rally Grub on the back of it. That'll catch them. Then that's a little deep diving crankbait. That's a Strike King crappie crankbait. Perfect for white bass. And then if they get finicky, there's a little small 1 1/4 inch jigging spoon. And here's my key. You'll see all of these lead and single baits have one single hook on there. I take the trebles off, I put a single on there, and that allows you to get those fish off the hook quicker, get them back in the water, and catch another one. Many years ago, I saw a futuristic movie about these people that were rolling around on their little carts and operating their entire lives from a joystick. They never had to move. Well, a lot of that seems to be coming true. Now you can open your app, order your food, pull up to a space, they bring it out to you. You can order your grocery list, they bring it out to you. You don't even have to go in the grocery store. Even home improvement stores are getting in on it. Now I see that my remote control for my television is voice activated. We're getting to be a society where nobody ever has to move. Now technology is good, but not moving is bad. God created our bodies to move. It keeps our muscles and joints toned, and it avoids adding tons and tons of calories. So park a little further away and walk in the store. Take the stairs instead of the escalator or the elevator. Do all kinds of intentional things to move, avoid those extra pounds and those extra health problems. I hope you enjoyed our trip to Cooper Lake, or Jim Chapman Lake in northeast Texas near Sulphur Springs and Commerce. We caught probably 300 white bass total today and had a blast doing it. If you'd like to book a guide trip here, Jeff Sanderson is your guy. His contact information is up on your screen. He keeps all the waypoints, all these humps marked, and he can take you straight out and put you and your family and your friends right on some of these fish. But if you're not coming here, use some of these techniques, some of these tactics that we talked about on this week's show, and you can catch a boatload of them and have a great time, a lot of fun with your kids and family for the next few weekends in lake, reservoir, or river near you. Until next week, I'm Barry Stokes. Be safe, have fun. Bye-bye, y'all.